Yeah, because you saw the presentation yesterday, you did. Yeah, it's, you know, when I first heard the word ransomware back in 2014, the average ransom was like $1,000. So that's pretty exponential growth here at this point. It's big business here at this point. You know, it's not low-end malware. It's organized crime here at this point. It's much more sophisticated, much more complicated, much more bigger sums of money involved. And that's not just for the ransom itself, it's also for all the collateral damage as well. The latest statistics we have tell us that 1.85 million is the average overall cost involved in a ransomware attack now. So we're talking about legal fees, we're talking about loss of reputation, loss of business, lost staffing, etc. So it's very costly. And what's most interesting about ransomware, it's about 25% of all cybersecurity spend within the enterprise today is for the most part spent building up bigger, taller, stronger walls. So that's your firewall, that's your antivirus. But the prevailing wisdom nowadays is that the attackers are in your midst. They have made it into your environment, or they will. So we're going to talk to you today about the post-compromise stages. If you can detect the attacking element in your midst, in the post-compromise or the initial intrusion stage, you can stop them before they get to that end game, that extortion stage. So we talk about a little thing here at ExtraHop called the mid-game. The mid-game may look daunting, it may look complicated, sophisticated, lots of things go on in the mid-game. Target enumeration, lateral movement, domain escalation, command and control. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going in there, but there's a lot of opportunity for us as defenders to find, to locate the bad actors in your environment prior to them getting to their end game. Whether that be exfiltrating data, whether that be encrypting your file data or whatnot, lots of opportunity. This is an example of a pretty well-known ransomware attack from last year called the Conti ransomware. This is the Conti attack group. It's a pretty well-known attacker group out of Russia. And if you just look at how this attack unfolded over time, day one, the initial breach was basically a phishing attack. You know, an attachment, word, macro, bazaar loader, but look what unveils over the course of day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. Lots of different stuff. Some of these things I'm familiar with, some of these things I don't even know what's going on. And that's actually fairly abbreviated. If you follow some of the other security trends, this is what you would call the dwell time. Basically the amount of time that the attackers are in your environment, making their way around. Wow, got tongue-tied there. Basically they're stalking your environment silently before they get to their extortion, before they get to that end game. So again, this is all opportunities that we have as defenders to find the attackers before they get to their end target. So what is ExtraHop? We're a leader in the space of network detection and response. If you're not familiar with that, it's an equal part to what Gartner calls the SOC triad. SOC triad is basically what they consider you need to have all three pillars to have a fully functioning security operations practice. SIEM, EDR platforms on the endpoint, and then clearly network detection and response. Basically watching the activities in the network and applying machine learning, applying artificial intelligence to understand when those attackers are in our midst. The graphic you see on the right-hand side basically breaks apart how each of those classifications of tools apply to the various stages of security threats in your environment. So clearly EDR platforms are well equipped to identify that initial access, that initial infection, if you will. But NDR platforms own the mid-game. That's where NDR, and ExtraHop in particular, is uniquely adept to identifying those attacks. I'm going to skip a slide here because this is the most important part here. This is kind of a real quick, high-level insight into a demo that we have within our demo system here. And when I wrap up here, if you want to walk around to one of the demo pavilions here and have one of the engineers walk you through this, you can. But basically, we have an attacker in the outside world here. You see this guy here? Kind of suspicious-looking fellow. He scans one of our public-facing web servers. He then identifies that it's a Drupal web server, so he attacks a known exploit in that particular device. And once that web server has been compromised, then his attack reaches out laterally within the enterprise. And we use a variety of different techniques to move from one device to another device to another device. That's all the little red circle boxes there. The end game in this particular attack is a classical encryption ransomware. Workstation Position 1 kicks off a ransomware encryption routine and encrypts all the data on our accounting file server. So just to give you a quick overview into the ExtraHop UI, and again, we can show you in more detail in our demo systems. I've broken the attack into two different pieces here. The first part there, highlighted at the top, is basically an unfolding chronologically of all the different attack techniques that are used in the opening stages of that. Again, I told you there was a web directory scan that occurred. Once that attacker identified that it was running the Drupal web server platform, then attacked a known exploit in that version of Drupal. And then lots of stuff started kicking off here internally. We're talking lots of lateral reconnaissance, TCP SYN scans, ping scans, and the like, before they started to do some downstream lateral movement and exploitation. So that attacker basically, once it compromised Web Drupal 01, it moved down to Workstation Position 03. It finally used another technique to move down to Workstation Position 01, where it then kicked off the final end game, that ransomware itself. So what you see here on the bottom left is an example of the ransomware detection or events that kicked off with ExtraHop. You know, troubleshooting detections with an ExtraHop is very straightforward. You pop up the detection detail, you can then really quickly, with a single button click or two, drill down into some of the forensic metadata or forensic evidence that basically led to that detection, that led to that conclusion. So, boom, ransomware activity kicked off. Those were the files that were accessed. And ultimately, if you want to go down and download raw packet capture data for real super detailed forensics, you can. So that's just a sneak peek into what ExtraHop can do for really sophisticated multi-stage attacks, including ransomware, but not exclusively ransomware. With that, we appreciate